Good morning. I'm Jane Conover and the president of the York County Community Foundation. I'm so excited today to launch our first ever Impact 20 discussion. What's that, you say? Well, think of it like a Sunday morning talk show without all the arguing and no commercials. And the best part is we get a chance to focus on exciting projects happening right here in our own community, York County. Let me start by saying that the Community Foundation is a charitable organization whose mission is to create a vibrant York County. Hundreds of generous donors have contributed to our community by creating funds at the Community Foundation that generate over $5 million in grants every year to support important projects that help our community get stronger. I'm so excited today to have with us the board chair of the York County Community Foundation, Jeff Lobach. Jeff is the managing partner at Barley Snyder Law Firm. He's been on our board for about 5 years and has seen us grow into an organization that's been at the center of community improvement. Jeff, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Glad to be here.
I'm interested to hear from your perspective why you think the Community Foundation has to play a leadership role in creating a better York County.
Well, Jane, thank you for having me. Our mission is ambitious, but the element of it that I think resonates most with me, with our board, and the rest of our constituencies is the part that you mentioned about creating a vibrant York County. A vibrant community has many elements. It has educational and recreational opportunities. It has a skilled workforce engaged in meaningful jobs. It's welcoming, hospitable. It's a community that's living in harmony. It's a good place to grow up, a good place to build a career, a good place to raise a family, and it's a good place to grow old. And at the community, we're passionate about York and about moving all of this forward through action. So we see our role as convening partners to identify and solve community problems, to advocate for policies that would advance those goals, and finally to invest the funds, as you just talked about, that our community makes available to carry out this charitable mission.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And there's a lot to do and a lot of opportunities. Today, we're going to focus primarily on the strategic priority of the Foundation for workforce development. We all know that having high-paying, well-paid jobs for our families helps improve our quality of life. Having a skilled workforce really creates a thriving economy. So we started talking with people in the community over the last couple of years about our economy here. How are we doing? What's missing? How are we preparing for the future economy? We invited expert speakers to York County through our annual meetings to talk about how people around the world have been collectively working to build their economy and strengthen their communities. We learned a number of things. One is that we have to be adaptable. We have to share brain power, meaning we have to work across sectors of the community for a common agenda. That's why we were happy to have Kevin Schreiber with us today. Kevin was in the process of transitioning from his role as a state representative in Harrisburg to the CEO of the York County Economic Alliance. Kevin embraced the idea of having a collective strategy to help position York County for our future. So welcome, Kevin.
Thanks so much, Jane.
Streaming in.
Yep.
Kevin, why don't we just start by talking about what the Economic Alliance does?
Sure. And first and foremost, thank you so much for having me help assist in this inaugural Impact 20. It really is an exciting opportunity. I think it's really a great communication vehicle that the foundation is doing. So hopefully the viewers today are really enjoying this, and my hat's off to the foundation for really taking this initiative. So the York County Economic Alliance, for those that may be unfamiliar, was created about 7 years ago through the merger of the Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Corporation. So two legacy organizations in York County that were merged together. And in addition to that, so we basically took the best of a chamber and the best of the Economic Development Corporation, put them together. We staffed several of the county's authorities, all of which are different vehicles to do different things, be it development or economic development financing or SBA lending. And most recently, within the past year, we've now also brought into that alliance our downtown Main Street organization, Downtown Inc. So we're really an umbrella organization with a really powerful team that has its fingers on the pulse of our economic development initiatives throughout York County. and really through the support of the foundation and others and our business community are really able to keep things humming and ticking.
Yeah, terrific. Well, you seem perfectly positioned then to help launch an economic action plan. And I hear that you're planning to do that in 2019.
Yes, that is.
Tell us more about that.
Really, over the course of 2017, we did our organizational strategic plan. Last year, very much a transformational year for us, particularly with the affiliation of Downtown Inc. and bringing more resources and tools into our tool belt. And what we had noticed, and really through that strategic planning effort, was there was a need for a larger countywide action plan. And really, we would like to embark upon that this year. And the goal of that is beyond just an organizational strategic plan. This is really looking at York County and what is our future economy going to look like. We can take all of the trend data analysis right now, and we can make pretty good predictions of what York County will look like in 20 years, by 2030, 2040. What is our industrial makeup? What's our demographic, our socioeconomic makeup? Mm-hmm. And then let's take a look at that. And what are the opportunities and challenges? What are the strengths and weaknesses that we see? And let's work backwards into positioning ourselves for success, mm-hmm. whether it's harnessing and really utilizing those opportunities that we envision, or trying to figure out how we can best surmount the challenges that we may be facing.
Yeah, really important. Tell me how this might be different from other economic plans that exist. We have to present comprehensive plans for our community. We've done some things similar before. Well, what will be different now?
I think really the hope with this one is obviously it's much more forward thinking. Like, what is our economy going to look like? And where do we see their strengths and weaknesses? And I believe this to be much more collaborative and aligning other efforts. We may come up through this process with aspects that are not necessarily directly under our purview, mm-hmm. Perhaps housing or additional inclusivity or things of that nature. They may fall directly to us, but they may not. Our hope is really to assess all of what is actively going on in the community right mm-hmm. now, and really try to align those efforts and align those organizations, and then hold those organizations accountable. What we would envision is ultimately, a strong steering committee of countywide organizations mm-hmm. that are hopefully collectively taking ownership of a piece of this plan, that whether it's strengths or weaknesses that are identified in it, and then working collaboratively going forward to really hold ourselves accountable. There's a great example in Boston, the Boston Indicators, where it was a host of organizations, from housing organizations or economic development organizations, foundations, that are all working collaboratively to tackle some really significant challenges and opportunities that they have. But those organizations are holding themselves accountable to that.
Yeah. I think there is a hunger for this kind of roadmap for our community. And I feel that there's momentum and there's interest in being part of it. And I agree with you that we need to have more of a broad cross-section of the community engaged in this. I think foundations and funders of projects also can get behind it so that we're all kind of rowing in the same direction. One of the things that the York County Indicators found in its last report was that there was a significant disparity in wages mm-hmm. between people of color and white households. In fact, Black-led households made 34% less every year than white households, and Hispanic households made 47% less. That's one of the challenges that we're facing in our community. And in addition, the York County Indicators showed that poverty rates are increasing throughout mm-hmm. York County. Our current rate of poverty is about 10% as a county. How do you see an economic action plan addressing those challenges, and what other challenges do we face?
I think we're in a very interesting time for our county right now, and this is certainly not unique in York, but we're at a 3.8% unemployment rate, but we know that unemployment is concentrated into demographic sectors and also geographically concentrated. Mm-hmm. We know that over the course of the next year, 15,000 York Countyans will likely retire and leave the workforce, and we also know that we likely don't have the labor pool to fill those jobs. Right now, we're actually, I would argue, a model of excellence with respect to manufacturing, and 18% of our labor force in York County is in manufacturing. That's nearly twice the state and national average. Right. But we know that's going to shift. We know that's going to change. We know that companies are going to continue to augment their workforce and continue to lean out and implement robotics. And we also see healthcare rising significantly. That's at about 17% right now. Those are all interesting factors, and those are things that keep us up at night. And we also know that compounding all of this, not just the retirement wave, is the skills gap and the gap in labor. Not a month goes by we don't hear from our business community that they can't find talented people. And I think that's probably one of the most significant challenges that would keeps me up at night, is what are we really going to be doing in the next 10 years? And that does not discriminate. That crosses all socioeconomic
Sure.
backgrounds, that crosses all demographic backgrounds. Right now, if we really want to attract and retain the best and the brightest, we need to welcome a diverse workforce, and our companies, they want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, part of this is really assessing what is the future industrial makeup going to look like, and where are those growth occupations, and where do we really need to focus our attention, and the limited resources that we have, how do we
Right.
best leverage those and get the maximum return on that investment?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of opportunities as well as challenges, and I hope that one of the outcomes of an economic action plan is to inspire hope and inspire change and engage people in the community. What does success look like for you? What would an economic action plan bring to our community?
I mean, you mentioned some of the opportunities that we have, and I sort of hinted with it on the challenge side, but right now we are a very diverse makeup of our industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not heavy in one sector. We
Yeah.
actually have 18% of manufacturing, 17% in healthcare. We have about 5% in technology, and we've seen steady growth. And those are all interesting statistics because, the wage rates are all hovering around the same, give or take. But I think what success looks like is we have a humming economy, but more than that, it's that we're at equilibrium in our labor pool and our employers. So our employers are not struggling to find talented people, and talented people are not struggling to find jobs. And that there is no barriers to employment or employment stability for individuals that are, whether they're minority individuals or geographically bounded. We also know that right now we have a struggle on distance discrimination, and that's an individual's ability to get to work.
Uh-huh.
If for folks that may not have been back to York County in some time, we have seen tremendous growth and development, and we've seen tremendous growth and development outside the metropolitan area, up and down Interstate 83. We know that individuals that are working at those industry complexes up there are having a difficult time getting to work.
Yeah.
Right now, Harley-Davidson is expanding by 400 jobs. And one of their primary concerns is where are they going to find those 400 people, and how are those 400 people going to get to work? So I think it's beyond just having a really strong, humming economy that is well diversified, and that we fully understand the challenges and the opportunities, and we're able to embrace them. I think it's that we have found equilibrium in our economy, that our employers are able to tap into talented employees, and that we are actively bringing new talent into the marketplace, and that we continue to be a diverse, welcoming community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, when you talk, it sounds exactly like what we've heard from other communities, where this is a cross-sector issue. So
Yes.
if transportation's a problem, we need to be engaging the transportation sector. If education and having skills of high school graduates is important, we need to be engaging the education sector. So I'm hoping that one of the outcomes of this project is that we have more of a collaborative approach. We are less working in silos. We see the vision for where we want to go, and we're all kind of moving towards that, so that we can accelerate our progress and as you say, maximize our resources. I do want to mention that if you have a question for Kevin or myself, you're welcome to ask it. Please. Do. Give us some questions. You can do that by going to your Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you can go into comment section and put your question there. If you're on Zoom, you can go to the Q&A button, tap on that, and type in your question. We'll hope to get to as many questions as we can the rest of the day. So, Kevin, tell us what's next for the Economic Action Plan. What happens this year? What do you envision happening?
We're in the process right now of evaluating. We'll probably be putting a request for proposal out on the street in the near future, and we'd like to start evaluating some of the national consultants that have worked in this type of arena and have worked with organizations and communities commensurate with ours. Over the past year, we've looked at a bevy of examples and have looked at communities and what they're doing. And it should be noted that really the kickstart to much of this was the Community Foundation in two annual meetings ago, bringing in Antoine von Ochmel, who was author of Smartest Places on Earth and a Brookings Fellow, and really spending that time and reading Smartest Places on Earth and looking at some of the other case study metro areas. So. And then really last year, the foundation bringing in Stark County Community Foundation, also a community commensurate to York that is doing some pretty impressive things on the planning side. So really, it was really through your efforts that helped kind of seed this. So we would anticipate, hopefully engaging a consultant by this summer and really getting the work underway in earnest, hopefully the latter half of the year. And you had mentioned, that while you and I are here talking about this today, and it's the Foundation or Economic Alliance, the truth is we need so many more voices at the table as part of this, and it really is a collaborative effort, and it has to be a community-led effort. We need many more voices speaking English, speaking Spanish, and we really want to hear from a diverse from the community and really try to get a sense from them. So it will truly be a much more engaging process. We would like to kick it off, but we know full well that ultimately there's no monopoly on good ideas, and there will be a heck of a lot of other organizations, hopefully, that are taking a role in this.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned what YCEA is. It is not a government agency, although you do get funding from the government.
Sure.
We have a question that's asking, what is the role of government in this kind of strategy?
Unquestionably, they are a partner to this, and I think they play a very important role. And that's all levels of government, federal, state, local. We had a United States Senator in 2 weeks ago talking about workforce development. So ultimately, I don't want to pretend that we know what this planning effort will conclude. I think we have a sense on some of the opportunities and challenges we would envision, but ultimately we're going to need partners at the federal, state, and local government. And you're seeing that shift even now with workforce development being much more a dominant piece of the conversation because the economy is doing well. But we know that employers are still struggling. So I think government has to be at the table. They've got to be a partner to this. And hopefully what this really does is help inform their policy agenda and that they become a part of this and can help foster solutions.
Yeah. I'll just add that that the Economic Alliance does get funding from York County government to do the economic development work it does around the county and staff a lot of the authorities so that the work does get done. In addition, the York County Planning Commission is a tremendous resource for data about our community. What are the trends? What are the demographics? Where are the jobs being created? So they are integral to helping inform, I think, this planning process. In addition to policy, I think they also have a lot to do with quality of place.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of investments, certainly in the city of York and downtown and in neighborhoods. We've seen it in Hanover. And in order to be an attractive place for employers and people to live, quality of place is so important. So we need them to be integral partners, I think.
Unquestionably. And it was our organization a few years ago that partnered with the Planning Commission to do an economic development plan that really looked at things like congestion mitigation, growth patterns, all of those things that are important to us as we grow as a county, and we have grown and would project to continue to do that. I think what we're also looking at really is what will the future of York County look like from an industry makeup, from a demographic makeup, and what does that, how does that relate to our competitive strengths and advantages as a community? And what is the infrastructure needed? And that could be infrastructure physically,
right?
That could be infrastructure from a brain perspective. What's the talent pool look like, and what do our partners in education really need to be doing to help this be successful?
Yeah, I would just add that the elected officials in particular can be our champions. So when we are trying to attract business or retain business here, they can help help us promote the community as a great place to locate and to stay. Kevin, so how does this intersect with other economic initiatives in this community? I know there's other work going on, and we just mentioned the government has its own, York County has its own economic development plan, but that seems to be more focused on project-based.
Sure, and I think really we've got some great things going on in York County. I think in many ways, what we would like to do is really champion a lot of that, and this is really to bolster it. Our hope is to align some of these efforts. I think it's a strength of ours that we have a lot of different sectors doing different things. So we've got a heck of a lot of community groups and really passionate people working in entrepreneurship and strengthening the ecosystem of entrepreneurialism, however that may be defined. Ours is not to reinvent wheels. Ours is not to creep on different missions. Ours is hopefully to align some of these efforts and then ideally at the end of the day, really be able to leverage resources. There is a limited pool of resources out there. We know that we need to maximize as best as possible. So our goal would be to say, look, if this is where we want to, as a community, this is where we decide this is a significant priority, whatever that priority may be, then we need to go about and set a course to identify the resources necessary to make that successful.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, I really thank you for your time today and all the good work that you're doing in the
Likewise.
community. Really appreciate it being partners with you. If you'd like to know more about the work going on, you can go to the yccf.org or follow us on Facebook. You'll hear another Impact 20 discussion in the spring. So thank you so much for joining us.
Great job. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day. Stay safe. And remember, love where you live.
And support the Community Foundation.